What's up, Taiwan? I'm Eric Gao, and thanks for joining us for the news. We begin with the latest on Typhoon Kong-Rey, which is increasing in speed and strength as it approaches Taiwan. Kong-Rey is expected to move closer towards the country over the next few days, making landfall near Taitung on the southeast coast on late Thursday or early Friday. Now, the typhoon is arriving late in the season, and it comes after two big storms already battered Taiwan this year. Rick Lau reports.
Residents in Taipei are stocking up as Typhoon Kong-Rey inches towards Taiwan, bearing winds of 150 kilometers per hour.
大概会买豆类的，因为可以放比较久。叶菜类的，就是比较会少买一点。
先准备吗？
应该吧。
应该。
总该。
在准备了吗？
对，应该这些比较耐用的。
Local produce will be scarce and expensive if Kong-Rey hits as predicted in just a couple of days. The country's farms are still recovering from two typhoons in the last few months. Residents of East Coast cities in the storm's path, like Hualien, have been warned of danger to property and life due to strong winds and torrential rain. The popular tourist destination is struggling to return to normalcy after being struck by a 7.2 magnitude quake in April. Now, it has had to postpone concerts organised to boost visitor numbers.
有收到一些我们的旅宿业者告诉我说，其实有人在做退房的。遇到这样的一个天然的这种台风，我们老实说，我们真的是束手无策。
Many people along this coast had assumed Taiwan's typhoon season was over. It's rare for a storm this size to hit this late in the year.
就搭病要出工咧，風台就過要來啊，啊就趕緊過尾啊，50年就啱啱即寒天時咧做風台啊，我嘛是頭一遍咧拄到。
2024 has already proved to be the most devastating typhoon season in Taiwan for years. At least 14 people were killed, and damages to property and infrastructure were in the hundreds of millions of US dollars. Still quite a distance from Taiwan, Kong-Rey's exact path and impact are hard to predict. But many here are hoping that this late arrival will not bring any other surprises. Eason Chen and Rick Lowett for TaiwanPlus.
New data shows consumer confidence in Taiwan's housing market fell sharply in October. Housing market experts think the decline is due to central bank credit controls that were launched to cool down the overheated real estate market. They predict that prices for existing homes will fall by 9 to 12% in the first quarter of next year, while those for pre-sale houses will fall by 14 to 17%. However, the high number of mortgage applications are only expected to return to previous levels in the second half of 2025.
很多银行，它在房贷上面的这个资金已经所剩无几了。它光有意愿没有用，你没有办法争取到贷款，你还是没有能力去买房子啦。
Taiwan's housing prices are some of the most expensive in the world, rising nearly 12% in the last year. Former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has defended his deadly war on drugs campaign. He told the Philippine Senate that he stands by his orders for law enforcement to kill drug suspects.
At kung tingin mo, sabi ko sa mga polis doon sa academy, mamamatay ka, marilin mo sa ulo, patay mo at least one less criminal in the community.
Philippine police say Duterte's anti-drug campaign left over 6,000 people dead, but rights groups say that number could be as high as 30,000. In the hearing, Duterte admitted hiring a death squad of felons to kill other criminals when he was mayor of Davao City before he became president. Protests have erupted in Georgia's capital over the results of parliamentary elections. The ruling Georgian Dream Party won, but the country's opposition says the election was rigged with help from Russia. Rosie Greninger reports.
Thousands of people gather outside the Georgian parliament in capital Tbilisi, protesting the results of parliamentary elections, claiming the vote was falsified.
their election is totally rigged, and it's robbed from Georgian citizens, and by Russian dream. It is not Georgian dream in reality, and because of this reason we are here to protect our rights, our European perspective and equality and democracy.
The country's opposition called on protesters to take to the streets after the incumbent Georgian Dream Party claimed victory, winning a 54% share of the vote. The party has been in power since 2012 and has gradually become more authoritarian and conservative, fostering closer ties with their neighbour to the north, Russia. The result dramatically defied exit poll predictions and is being officially contested by the pro-Western opposition, a coalition of 4 parties determined to restart Georgia's progress towards EU membership. They have accused the ruling party of significant election violations, including ballot stuffing and beating of those who objected. Those claims echoed by the country's president, who alleged Russian interference and told protesters to continue defending their voting rights. Rejecting the results, Zuabishvili met with opposition groups, fearing that the ruling Georgian Dream Party will move the country even closer to Russia and create a roadblock in its EU accession process. Moscow has denied interfering with the elections.
Выбор грузинского народа сейчас очень важно, чтобы не какие-то эти страны в результаты этих выборов не вмешивались.
But European election observers noted democratic backsliding in the exercise, identifying evidence of voter intimidation and a significant imbalance of financial resources. And the EU has called for a probe into election results.
The EU expects the Georgian Central Election Commission and other relevant authorities to fulfill their duties, to swiftly, transparently and independently investigate and adjudicate electoral irregularities and allegations thereof.
A call backed by the US. Despite all objections, the ruling Georgian Dream Party are adamant they won the vote fairly. But the opposition contests that. They're calling for protesters to stay on the streets, setting the stage for more confrontation over Georgia's future. Ryan Wu and Rosie Greninger for TaiwanPlus.
Iran has executed a German-Iranian dissident on terror charges that he and his family had strongly disputed. Iran says Jamshid Sharmad plotted several attacks in the country, including a 2008 mosque bombing that killed 14 people. Sharmad had been living in the U.S., but Iranian agents kidnapped him in Dubai in 2020, and he was sentenced to death last year. Amnesty International described his trial as grossly unfair. With just 1 week to go before the U.S. presidential elections, candidates are fighting to win swing voters. But racist comments made by a comedian at a Trump rally are now taking over the discussion. Tiffany Wong reports.
The final stretch. With just 1 week left before voters take to the polls, the U.S. presidential candidates are ramping up their campaigns, trying to grab as many voters in battleground states as possible. Now their campaigns have turned to a key demographic, Latino voters, a large voting bloc with a historically low turnout rate. But now many are torn after comments by a comedian at a Trump rally.
There's a lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico.
In a major Puerto Rican community in the key swing state of Pennsylvania, where Trump plans to hold a rally, his comments caused confusion among voters.
I can tell that people are not talking a lot about politics on the streets, and but they're not very happy about Donald Trump. That's one thing I can say. The few things that I have heard, that's what has to do with most of the time, the discontent.
The comments also gained the attention of the Archbishop of San Juan de Puerto Rico, who called on Trump to personally apologize. Although Trump has not commented publicly on the matter, his running mate J.D. Vance was quick to pass it off as a joke.
And my own view on this is, look, again, I haven't seen the joke. Maybe it's a stupid racist joke, as you said. Maybe it's not. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to comment on the specifics of the joke. But I think that we have to stop getting so offended at every little thing in the United States of America. I'm so over it.
Democratic candidate Kamala Harris condemned Trump for sowing divides with those comments, but she refrained from directly addressing the issue at her latest rally in Michigan.
And listen, you all have heard me say, I do believe Donald Trump to be an unserious man, but the consequences of him ever being president again are brutally serious. Brutally serious.
Now, with just 7 days left, and with both candidates trying to sweep up any undecided voters, they'll have to choose their words carefully as people make their final choice. Klein Wang and Tiffany Wong for TaiwanPlus.
We'll be bringing you more exclusive coverage of issues that are key to the U.S. election later today. Be sure to tune in to TaiwanPlus News for that. Smog season has returned to South Asia, with toxic air hanging over many of the region's cities. In some places, the air is so bad, schools have had to adjust their schedules and cancel outdoor events. John Van Trieste has more.
A thick shroud of smog has fallen on Pakistan's megacity of Lahore, and it's not going anywhere. As in many of South Asia's packed metropolises, air pollution is a problem at the best of times, and it gets much, much worse here in winter, as cold air and the Himalayas lock in smoke, exhaust, and construction dust. Measurements show Lahore had the worst air quality anywhere on Earth Monday. But hazardous air pollution has been a problem for at least several days, and air quality is not expected to get better for some time. Schools have decided to adjust their schedules so that student pickup and drop-off times avoid the worst of the smog. As for outdoor events, they're all canceled, at least until the end of January.
सुबह पोल्यूशन का ज़्यादा जोर होता है, तो इसी को देखते हुए, इसी को मद्देनज़र रखते हुए गवर्नमेंट ने ये इक़दाम किया कि बच्चे जो हैं वो अच्छी तरह से और लेट आवर्स में आए ताकि ये स्मॉग का जोर जो है ये कम हो। तो ये अच्छा इक़दाम है गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से ताकि बच्चों के लिए सहूलत मुहैया कर सकें।
But some parents doubt that even these measures will make much of a difference.
टाइमिंग का एकदम तो भाई दिन 8 बजे भी वही है, 8:30 भी, 9 बजे भी स्मोक तो वैसे की वैसी है, सारा दिन ही रहनी है। ये तो सिर्फ डिस्टर्बेंस पैदा हुई है आवाम में कि अब हम ड्यूटी वाले हैं, हमने 7:30 8 बजे ड्यूटी जाना है, अब हम किस तरह बच्चों को छोड़ेंगे। बच्चे आप माहौल का आपको पता ही है, अकेले भेज नहीं सकते, तो वही टाइम होना चाहिए 8 बजे का या 8:15 का, बस ठीक है, इस टाइम में ठीक है। 8 से 12 1 बजे तक छुट्टी हो जाए, बच्चे घर आ जाए। अब बच्चे 3 बजे घर आते हैं, 3:30 3:15 होते हैं।
The situation's not much better in neighboring India. From Delhi to Mumbai, officials classified air quality as moderate to very poor. All the haze has sickened some residents.
दिल्ली में तो बहुत प्रदूषण है, सांस नहीं लिया जा रहा। 4 दिन से मैं जहाँ बीमार हूँ ज़्यादा प्रदूषण की वजह से ही सांस आने में इतनी दिक्कत हो रही है कि खांसी हो रही है।
To address the situation, several Indian states are putting controls or bans on fireworks and firecrackers during the upcoming Hindu festival of lights, Diwali. But while this may help, many of the root causes of the smog, including vehicle emissions, burning charcoal and wood for heat in the cold winter, and the practice of burning off fields after harvest, are still in place. So thick clouds of pollution will continue to hang over the region until the end of what some now call the region's 5th season. Kama Shu and John Van Trieste for TaiwanPlus.
Thanks for tuning in for What's Up Taiwan. Make sure you grab our app and turn on notifications to get our latest reports. Finally, check out these contestants paddling giant pumpkins at Belgium's annual pumpkin boat race. I'm Eric Gao. Take care, and we'll see you next time.